All right, Peter, we got to do it again. It's that time of day, time of year.
Time of the year, baby.
But in all seriousness, it's that time of week again to talk about the question of the week. And I know you wanted to talk about it, so let's do it. The most overrated thing in basketball.
Yes, I have a very firm stance on this. I'm going to be coming down real hard on one player in particular in this little thing. But just the sports media for basketball in general has a very, very strange obsession. Not strange, because I can see why. But there's a fervor. There's an absolute obsession with the triple-double.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
In the current NBA landscape. And I think when it's all said and done, a triple-double really doesn't matter as much as anyone likes to think it does. Mm-hmm. It does influence the game, obviously, because putting up a big stat line of 3 double-digit categories is an impressive feat in the NBA for anybody. But it doesn't really win you games, right? Yeah. And I think it heavily implicates that one player is the sole focus of both sides of the floor for a team. Sometimes that's not the case, right? Sometimes like you'll have like an incredible game from LeBron, right? Where the whole team is contributing. Oh, I just lost my brain. Contributing to the game, right? And he still puts up a triple-double. But I feel like more often than not, when LeBron is putting up a triple-double, the whole game has been reliant upon him to win that game. And the same thing goes for Russell Westbrook in the sense that he loves to dominate a game, right. Not even just his opponents, but he loves to dominate his own team. Mm-hmm. And he ends up getting these triple-doubles because he's so ball heavy, ball dominant, that he's always making contact with the ball, defense and offense, which isn't necessarily a good thing to the team. Right. And Russell Westbrook was that guy that I was talking about, where I feel like sometimes the triple-double comes before the win, right? Maybe he would never admit that, and I don't necessarily think he does it on purpose, but I think sometimes that stat line is like more attractive than just getting the W, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas if you let Paul George get his double-double, you're probably going to win the game, right? If Russell Westbrook is putting up 10 assists, 25 points, Paul George is getting 12 rebounds and 28 points, that's a better chance of winning than some crazy Russell Westbrook triple-double. I just hate triple-doubles. And I like the perfect example, and this is the last thing I'll say for my question. When Russell Westbrook put up his 100th triple-double last week, ESPN immediately had this insanely long garbage article of Russell Westbrook's top 100 triple-doubles of all time. And it was just like, what does it even matter, right? Mm-hmm. Like, who cares? Like, why are you going to rate these 100 games of triple-doubles? Like, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I felt like reading the first 3 or 4 of them, I was like, who cares enough to go through these 100 games? Because there's like 50 of those games where they lost. You know? Like, what does it matter when they lose the game? I don't know. So people are too focused on stats. I guess that's my whole point.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But I'm going to be a little different in picking something different just to be different. But triple-doubles obviously is probably one of the most overrated things. I think the one thing I think is very overrated in basketball, and I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, is how much I feel like they rate Michael Jordan as one of the greatest players of all time.
Whoa, you're going to get heat for this one.
I wasn't born in the social media era, and there wasn't a lot of stories written about him, like in a negative light, which we have today with most of our superstars.
Even now, most of the stories that come out about Michael Jordan are more negative than positive.
Yeah. You know, there's been situations where Michael Jordan's gambling issues have come into play. You know,
his
attitude, what he said, his Hall of Fame speech and what he said in that. So I think just rating Michael Jordan and just putting him in this pedestal that nobody could ever get to, I think is the most overrated thing in the NBA, or just like in basketball.
I'll agree with you in the one aspect that I think people who say he's so far away from anybody else it's ridiculous.
No, Skip.
Thank you.
How about you do what got you the lead? Skip, you asking people, let me, Skip.
Sure,
Skip, hold on, no, Skip. three.
We got Alabama.
Hold on, skip. Whoa.
Which team led the
Skip.
go percent?
Skip.
Okay.
Skip.
Yeah.
But skip.
Where you got
Skip. We skip.
Simple as that.
Skip. Was that you, Skip?
You were dreaming all
Is that,
right.
no,
That was a
Skip, was
dream.
that you?
Oh.
Skip.
7?
Hold on, Skip. The play is Skip.
Huh?
Skip. We know Skip. Skip. I know Skip. Like that,
Talk
Skip.
heavy.
Anything else you want to know about me, Skip?
Yeah.
Like, I can't really debate whether he's. I think it's hard to debate whether, as somebody who's only watched since the late 90s, because I was 5 in 99, it's hard for me to say that Michael Jordan is not the best player of all time, but it's hard for me also not to say that LeBron is at least his equal. You know? LeBron, minus the fact that he has not won every championship game he's in.
Yeah.
He's just as dominant in every facet of the game. Maybe not defensively. He's never made an All-NBA first team defensive, I don't think. But, like, people who say, like, there's literally no way that LeBron is ever going to catch Michael Jordan, not only does that discredit LeBron, but it discredits a lot of, like, the people who are pretty close to him already, you know?
Yeah, to me, I just think that I love Michael Jordan. You know, I have his shoes, I buy the clothes, the Jordan brand clothes, all that stuff. I do think he's a great player, but I think sometimes as a society we just kind of go with the flow in some aspects with some things, and just saying that, you know, it's Michael Jordan and that's it. Because, you know, some of the guys, you know, we're like 5 years old, so we don't have like the same concept and understanding as we did now. Now that we see the new generation growing up and all the new players coming in.
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy to me to think that we put Michael Jordan all the way up to the top and that no players is even in the same atmosphere.
Or people who act like even now, like if you put Michael Jordan 101, like in their prime, right? He's going to absolutely murder LeBron or Giannis, right?
Yeah.
Like, in what world is that the case? Like, he might be more skilled than both of them, you know? And he's one of the greatest athletes to play basketball too. But people are just so dramatic of like his god status of being a basketball player. Like, he was not without his flaws, you know? And he was never perfect. And I don't know. People are just way too dramatic about how good he was.
Yeah.
I do think he's probably the best player of all time. But I do think there's a level of extremity that's like, it's too far.
Yeah. To me, I think him and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are on the same level. Even though the only way I could watch Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is through highlights, and I wasn't born at that time.
About Wilt, too.
Wilt was good. But I think Kareem just had a game about him that was so different. He had a shot, that was the most unstoppable shot in the NBA history.
Ever, yeah.
So I still think Michael Jordan's one of the greatest of all time, but I think the way that we just put him on a pedestal compared to everyone else being below him or beneath him in a way that's disrespectful, I think is laughable to me.
Yeah, I'll agree, but with a asterisk and say that, like, I think the way old heads talk about Michael Jordan is way too overrated.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like that with sports and music and all that stuff.
Bring it on, guys. We're ready.
Yeah,
we're ready. If we get any older people on this video, they're going to try and murder us.
Yeah, probably.
But it's just our opinion, guys. We're not saying he's bad by any means.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just, you know, keep in mind that we never really got a chance to watch him in his prime. You know, we're kids of the LeBron era.
Yeah.
All right? And in my mind, LeBron James is the greatest player I've ever seen play basketball.
True. I have nothing else to say about that.
Anyway, guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up for us today.
Yep.
It's been your boy Pete. That's Bernie.
Yo.
Hit that like and subscribe button. Share Fusion Corp with your friends, family, anybody you meet on the street that also likes basketball. Please, we really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Love you. Peace.
Peace.